As we continue to look at this NBA draft and our NBA draft series, the one thing that you can say about this draft is that it's very guard heavy. We see guys like LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, Cole Anthony, I already said LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards. There are a lot of great guards in this draft, and the reason why there's so many guards coming out is because an NBA team needs a good guard. If you don't have a good guard to really defend the other team and to not facilitate the offense, because they are the quarterback on the court, they allow other players to get open. It allows your teammates to have easier reads, and it really makes the offense move. And as we saw examples of this with the Brooklyn Nets last year, when they had Spencer Dinwiddie and LeVert really play very well with each other, and you also had this along with the Golden State Warriors when they won their championships. Curry and Klay Thompson were huge help in terms of the guard position for why those teams won their championships. But nevertheless, we are looking at another guard, and the guard that we're going to be talking about today is Cole Anthony. Now, if you guys don't know who Cole Anthony is, he is the son of Greg Anthony, who was an NBA player. Cole Anthony also went to Oak Hill Academy, a preparatory school, and played this season for the University of North Carolina. And in that season, he averaged 18.5 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists on 38% shooting from the field. Like I said, he is 6'3" and 190 pounds. And when you look at those stats, when you look at the numbers, you are probably like, wow, this kid really has all the tools. He looks like he could be a great guard, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving like. But we're really going to take a deep dive into what I like and dislike about him. Now, going from Cole Anthony, what I like about him is that he is a great finisher. Just like Kyrie Irving, he is able to attack angles and be a great shot creator that allows him to get shots off that you didn't think anybody could get off. Able to go off the glass with some of the shots that he's able to go to and make them really solidifies him as a top prospect in this NBA draft, because there's no other players that can do it. Coming off the pick and roll, he's also great at creating his own shot. Coming off the dribble, he's able to attack the rim, able to really work on his jumper. There are times where it's almost Kyrie-like the way that he's able to shot create and be able to hit these clutch twos. And it's something amazing to watch, because when you look at Cole Anthony, it just kind of reminds you of what Kyrie Irving could have been like if he was able to play a lot more games in college. But nevertheless, Cole Anthony is also one of the best shot creators in this draft. I don't think I've seen anybody in this draft that can rival it in terms of getting a shot off and able to make it and able to hit the big ones. And that's something Cole Anthony has done throughout his whole career, not only in UNC, but Oak Hill Academy, and I'm sure, back in his elementary and middle school and high school days. But nevertheless, like, Cole Anthony's shot creating ability is really something that teams are going to be salivating over, because having a guard that can create his own offense is masterful, because it allows the offense to flow a little bit better. Because when you notice teams are going to start double teaming, they're going to start doing a lot of things to kind of blitz him, and being able to make those quick passes, Cole Anthony will be able to get a lot more hockey assists, able to be a better player because of it. Now, another thing that I really like about Cole Anthony is his defensive awareness and defensive prowess on and off the ball. When we talk about on the ball, he has a high motor that a lot of NBA players on this prospects, I should say, don't really have. The only one I could think of is really Anthony Edwards, and I have to look down the list even more. But nevertheless, he's probably one of the top guards for this reason. Able to defend both the point guard and shooting guard. Even at 6'3", he is still a very pesky defender. He's not going to allow players to get by him. He's a guy that really is solid in his defensive stance and really has great discipline to not reach, to really stay in front of a guy, and it really allows the offense not to really facilitate very well, because Cole Anthony is great at keeping his guy in front of him. But on-ball defending is not the only strength that Cole Anthony has. Off-the-ball defending is something that Cole Anthony excels at, because he's able to read the offense of the other team and is able to see, like, all right, this guy's going here, I'm going to really shoot the gap and really steal the ball. He's a guy that I've seen very rarely a lot of high school players and even NBA, or I should say college players, do, and that's being able to know when to attack the ball on defense and when not to. And the fact that he's able to, off the ball, see when a pass is coming and able to just quickly grab it, he's another player in this draft that has great athleticism, but not in terms of verticality, but in terms of quickness. He's one of the quickest players in the draft, able to read passes very well, especially in transition, especially off the ball defending. He's a guy that really relies on his speed and quickness to really get to where he needs to in terms of defense, and it's something that I really appreciate about Cole Anthony as we continue to look forward in this draft. And adding on to his defense, the one thing I really liked about him, seeing his Oak Hill Academy highlights and even the World vs. USA, and just even in North Carolina, the fact that he's able to sell for the charge. He's a guy that is different than any other player. A lot of times you'll see guys won't even take a charge, won't even do anything, because in the NBA, those rarely get called. But nevertheless, he is a guy that is willing to put his body on the line just to get a call to go the other way, and really will buy your team extra possessions with that defensive hustle and awareness. And that's something that can't be mistaken for anything. Like, he is a guy that I see could be potentially a defensive player of the year type of candidate in the NBA, just because of the way that he's able to sell for charges, able to steal the ball off ball, and also be able to keep guys in front of him. Now, when it comes to Cole Anthony and his weaknesses, the one thing I can say is that he is a very poor passer and a poor decision maker in terms of passing the ball. There's a reason why he only averaged 4 assists at North Carolina, and it's because every time he comes off the pick and roll, he is trying to be like Kyrie Irving in terms of being a shot creator. That's not to say that I don't dislike that offense and dislike the way that he attacks the hoop, but it's just many times he misses the open guy. There are times where you can throw that little lob pass over when the offensive big has him sealed and is able to, ask for a pass up here. Cole Anthony will instead dribble the ball, come back. He'll dribble too much of it, and that's just something that really you don't want your guard to do. I know that Kyrie Irving can get away with it just because he's a great shooter of the ball, but nevertheless, it's still not an effective offense. That's not, to me at least, someone that really enjoys ball movement and making sure that everybody is involved in the play. Whether they score or not is irrelevant. To me, being able to shot create and able to make a pass is something that's going to be very vital, and that's something that Cole Anthony struggles with, and something that I think he can get better at is that when he sees a guy open, or when he sees that he doesn't have anything for him, dribbling left and right, it really leaves teammates in a bad position, because then it's like hot potato where, there's 10 seconds on the shot clock, he's dribbling too much of the ball, then he passes it to somebody, and then that guy has to put up a poor shot. That is something that's really going to hurt Cole Anthony moving forward, because a lot of teammates don't want to play with that, and coaches are not going to deal with that. So I think that he really needs to find out, how he can improve as a passer, because if he's able to get his passing ability down, especially, being a 6'3" guard, he's a little smaller. He needs to be a little more crafty when it comes to, dishing off the rock, especially on pick and rolls. I believe that teams are going to really trap that and really try to force him to make that pass out of the pick and roll. We're going to see instantly what he can do off the pick and roll, because right now he's struggling at that. And I think that that's another weakness that I'm pointing out here, is because when you're able to come off the pick and roll and make that quick pass and he's able to finish the layup, then I think that leads to better offense. But the problem is that when he gets blitzed, he loses the ball and it's a turnover, and that's the reason why he had so many turnovers last season. Now, another thing that Cole Anthony struggles with is his shot selection. We know that Cole Anthony is a great shooter of the ball. We know that he can make these tough shots over defenders, hitting deep twos. But when we look at the 2-point percentage from 2-point, I don't know why I said it like that, but he was 82 for 204, which is not very good. I mean, it's about 40%, and you really want your guards to be shooting around 50 to 60%. Maybe 50% is what I'm looking for inside, especially because we know that 3 points are worth more than 2, but shooting 40% means that he's taking too many deep twos and not really moving the ball, and that comes back to the shot selection, that comes back to dribbling. He's not doing a good enough job for me to say, like, you earned and justified those shots. He has to hit a lot more, or he has to pass the rock, and those are things that he has to improve on, and that's something that I think could hinder him moving forward in this draft, just because I think when it comes to Cole Anthony, if he's not able to hit his shots, he's not going to be an effective player. Obviously, defensively, he'll be an effective player, but you need to be both in the league. You can't just be one or the other. I mean, Tony Allen was an exceptional defender, and luckily he was in a time before he even had to be a very offensively minded player. But now that we're in the 3-point system land where everybody has to hit a 3, if you're not able to be consistent with your jumper and not be able to hit shots, especially inside, then it's going to be a problem. Because I think too many times he tries to play hero ball, and when you try and play hero ball too much, it just leads to poor offense, and it leads to shots that are very long rebounds. It leads to the other team going on quick fast breaks, and it's easy points for the other team, especially if you're clanking a lot of shots, right? If you're bricking a lot of them, then you're allowing the other team to get quick rebound opportunities and quick transition buckets, and that's something that you don't want your team to get into. Another thing that Cole Anthony probably needs to improve on are his three-point percentage. Shooting 49 for 141. That's actually not too bad, about 35%. But nevertheless, you really want your guards to be shooting around 37, 38, I feel like, in the NBA. And that's something that's going to be interesting to see, because we know that he's a very good shot creator, but is he a good shooter like Kyrie Irving? We know that Kyrie Irving isn't the best shooter in the world, but he makes more buckets than he misses. Another thing that Cole Anthony needs to improve on is his three-point percentage. 49 for 141 from college three isn't bad, but we also have to remember that he missed 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. And that's something that's really, as I'll go on to continue about what I think about him in terms of his durability. But nevertheless, like I said, 35% from three-point line isn't bad from college. I'm just curious to see what he's going to shoot like from NBA three, because we know that his shot selection isn't the greatest. And when you're not making a lot of shots, especially three-point shots, and it leads to long rebounds like I talked about in the previous segment, it's still going to be a bad situation for Cole Anthony and the team that he's going to be playing against, because when the other team is able to just quickly get the rebound and pass off to the guy for an easy layup, that's going to create a lot of opportunities for the opposing team, and coaches are not going to be happy with that. So I think Cole Anthony also needs to work on being a very good spot-up shooter and someone that's able to come off the pick and roll, and if he's open, if the guy goes underneath, he's able to hit that three. The stroke doesn't look too bad. I think it's not too bad mechanically, but at the same time, he does really need to work on being more consistent with it, whether that's changing up the form a little bit, or whether that's, doing something different to allow him to kind of feel the shot a little bit more. He's going to have to learn to do that, especially when it comes to the NBA Draft Combine, where I feel like all these guys have to compete in, because there's no longer an NCAA tournament, no NIT tournament, and the only thing he could really do is a pro workout. But at the same time, I think that these guys should compete in the Combine, even if it's just the 5-on-5 scrimmage or whether it's the drills. Just compete in it, so at least you can say like, hey, look, these numbers are really impressive. If he's able to have a good standing reach, if he's able to have a good vertical, he's able to have good speed, then a lot of teams are going to be interested in him, and that's what's going to lead him to get drafted, and that's what's going to lead him to be a player that people are going to be enamored with, especially Cole Anthony, who's one of the quickest players in the draft, like I talked about previously. He's going to be a guy that you could potentially lean on when it comes to defensive battles, when it comes to guarding the best player. And that's going to be the biggest question. Is he going to be the number one option on a team? Because when you're drafting in the first round, when you're looking for your point guard of the future, you want him to be able to carry a team. And that's something that I don't know if I believe that Cole Anthony can be that, but I do believe that he can be a good number 2 or number 3 guy. It's just depending on what team is going to take a risk on Cole Anthony moving forward. Now, the next thing we have to talk about with Cole Anthony is he injury prone? Because he did miss a lot of time at the University of North Carolina, only playing 22 games, started in 20 of them. The fact that he missed a couple of good games and he missed a couple of weeks of it just kind of goes to show me that could he be a Kyrie Irving 2.0 in terms of being this great offensive talent, great offensively gifted player, able to shot create off any dribble and be able to hit shots, but is he going to be able to stay on the court? Because we know that the league, there's 82 games you play compared to the 30-something games that you play in college, and that is going to be a huge jump for a guy like Cole Anthony, not having the biggest frame, not being the most physically dominant player, but more than likely going to be not a frail, but not as, he's not strong, he's not like beefy like these other NBA guards, and it doesn't have the length and the size compared to these guys. He's in the same mold as a Kyrie Irving or a Steph. Like, you're gonna have to accelerate in one of these categories, whether it's the three-point shot, whether it's the shot creating, whether it's the passing. The thing is that those two guys are able to pass the ball. The problem with Cole Anthony right now is that his passing ability doesn't match what his shot creating ability is, and that's going to be the biggest question going into this draft for someone drafting Cole Anthony. Is he going to improve in the next 2 to 3 years, just like Alonzo Ball, just like these other players that really take the next step in their third year, ever having a sophomore slump, or maybe they had a freshman slump? Like, who is going to take that next step? And that's going to be the interesting situation coming out of this draft with Cole Anthony. What team is going to take a risk on Cole Anthony? Because offensively, he's almost there, but defensively, he is there. He is solid. I think that he's a great defensive pest, and that's going to be the biggest question I want to ask you guys. Do you guys think that Cole Anthony is going to be a number 1 option on a team? Is he going to be a top 5 pick? That's what I want to find out from you guys, and I say no. I think he's going to end up being a top 10 pick. Although a great guard, I just don't think that he has the tools in terms of offensively yet to carry a team and be the number 1 option. But anyway, guys, my name is Bernie here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Like I said, guys, we're going to try and give you these draft series content each every other day. I'm gonna try and do it. If not, it's gonna be every 3 days, but nevertheless, I will be putting out videos. There will be a video out in a couple days. Anyway, guys, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.